Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. And this evening, Phyllis is the afternoon. I am having a conversation with Phyllis Arnstein from Florida. Good afternoon, Phyllis. Nice to see you again.
You too. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yes, yes, yeah, it's probably your afternoon there, is it?
It is. It's 4:37 in the afternoon.
For 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, you're 5 hours behind us. Yeah, yeah.
It's your
So,
bedtime.
sorry.
I said it's your bedtime.
Oh well, yeah, I've got another network meeting at 10:30, so I won't be going to bed till late tonight. But yes, so I will ask you the same question as I ask everybody else on my little chit chat: is what is it you enjoy when you're not working?
One thing I enjoy is reading.
Okay.
When it's not excruciating hot outside, I enjoy sitting outside,
Hmm.
especially early in the morning, with a cup of coffee, listening to all the animals wake up. Because, like I said, we live in a rural area.
Yes.
And then I enjoy my 5-year-old granddaughter. She's my life. She lives here with us. So
Okay.
life is very interesting having a 5-year-old in the house again.
I should imagine it is
Yes.
a bit of a challenge at times.
With this one, sometimes her mission in life is to visit every store there is.
Oh,
Yes, she wants to go shopping at every store. So Friday night, she talks Grandpa into taking her to Dollar Tree. And then Saturday, I get these puppy dog eyes. You know, Grandma, I've never been to Target. And so what is every good grandma good? You go to Target.
oh, you
So we go,
succumb.
right? So she's got this thing in her mind. I don't know where she came out with it. She wants this pink suitcase. Well, what do you know? They had this little pink suitcase with, the dolls and all that in it.
Hmm.
And her thing is to get on an airplane with it and fly somewhere to a beach called Summer. Now we haven't quite figured out where this beach is, but that's what she wants to do. And then
Ah.
and then that afternoon on the TV there was a commercial for the store Marshalls. Oh, Marshalls? I haven't been to Marshalls and we're not going to Marshalls. I'm telling you, it's her mission in life to visit every store there is.
Oh dear, bless her heart. Oh, that's quite something, isn't it? So, apart from your lovely granddaughter and enjoying having a read when it's slightly cooler with your coffee, you were telling me briefly, and I'm not sure whether you still have them, but you were talking about your macaws.
No, we don't. We moved out of Tampa, out of the city in the early 90s to mostly get our son, he was in elementary school, to get him into more of a small town feel.
Right.
And so then you always ask that question, what do you do with your child when they're too old for daycare and too old for grandma and grandpa, right? So we came up with this about because my husband loves animals and he said if I do this then yes, he's tied to the property, but there's always a parent at home. So our whole thing was maybe gets off the school bus, first place he has come is home, try to maybe ward off trouble, try to stay ahead, getting to be teenage years. So we did that the whole time that he was in school. And then a couple of years after he graduated, we finally said, you know what, we need to sell it because you truly are tied to your property. You don't go on vacations, you don't go anywhere. You are tied. Who are you going to get to feed and water 600 birds, right?
Well, but this is the problem.
Yeah. So we sold it a few years after he graduated, and now we just have a dog and then a couple of barn cats out in the yard.
Mm.
So, but there's always an animal at our house.
Well, that's nice, isn't it? I think a house isn't right without an animal in it.
They keep you going sometimes as much as the 5-year-old.
Yes, keep
Yeah.
you on your toes.
The dog, he's a boxer mixed with the Rhodesian Ridgeback, almost 80
Oh,
pounds. Big dog. You would
mm,
think 3 acres would be enough. He
no.
hopped the fence into the 80 acres behind us to go for a run for about an hour.
Oh,
And yeah, and then he comes back all happy because he got to go for a long run. And I'm looking at him going, really? Because then you got to try to control like the fleas, the ticks, and then he gets mad because you got to have a bath because I don't know what you rolled in, but you got to have a bath. I mean, it's like stay out of the 80 acres.
oh my
But
Lord.
happy dog gets to run.
Yeah,
Like I say, he's a big dog. He needs to run.
yeah,
You know.
yeah.
So yeah,
It is.
it's
Yes, I get it. And 80 acres. I mean, that's a huge acreage, isn't it? For
it
the
sure is.
yeah,
But it's our little quiet, peaceful part of Earth. I drove for 21 years to Tampa and back every day for work. Because where I live, if you want to make the money, you have to go into the big city.
yeah.
Because up here it's still like retail, restaurant, type work. So for 21 years I did that. And then I just finally I hit that burnout wall and I said, I'm done with the drive. I'm done with everything. I've been with my job 29 years and I said, I'm finished. And in
Mm.
2014, I walked away and I said, I can't do it anymore. I can't make the drive. The road was under construction. You leave it at 5:30 in the morning. You should be able to get to work in 45 minutes. And it's like I'm leaving earlier and earlier to try. And I said, something's just not right with this. So, I said the road's under construction, so you're dealing with that. It's a toll road. You certainly still want my toll money, except I'm sitting in traffic on the road, not
Yes, yes,
paying.
yes.
But you want your toll money. And that's when I said, no, I'm done. I'm finished. I can't do this anymore. Make the
Mm.
drive. And, it was 2 hours a day I'm away from my family, when you
It's,
make a drive like that.
it's a lot of time, isn't it? And you can't get that back.
No, you can't. So when I retired that summer, I said, I'm not doing nothing. I'm taking the summer off. And I get kudos for this. I took four of my grandkids. At the time they were, I think like maybe 7-ish to 15 years old in a car up to my brother's in the mountain. And I told him, I said, look, it's a hard drive, so power up your electronics so you have something to do in the car. It's a 10-hour drive. And then when we got there and they started to get out, I said, oh no, the electronics those stay in the car. And you get these looks like, what? I
What?
said, I didn't drive all this far for you to come to the mountains to sit on your phones.
No.
And then my brother started laughing. He goes, well, you can't use them anyway. They're like, why not? And he goes, we're in the mountains. We don't have Wi-Fi. Then you really saw some strange looks like, how do you not have Wi-Fi? He said, because we don't have it. He said, we don't want our mountains dotted with all the cell phone towers, and all that.
Mm.
So no, he said, no Wi-Fi. And you thought life, okay, I can do without the Wi-Fi until COVID hit. And all of a
Oh
sudden,
dear.
everything transformed to, Zoom. Well, in his county, they couldn't do Zoom on school because there's no Wi-Fi.
Well,
His daughter had to go to school every Monday to turn in the homework from the last week to pick up the new packages. He's like, never thought about it until you have to try to teach your kids from home.
yeah.
But he said, even if you had Zoom, he said, you're talking the mountains. He said, a lot of those people, they don't even have laptops, computers. It's the mountains, you know? So he said, but that was
Yeah.
different trying to teach the kids like that.
Mm. A
But
challenge.
it is, but I understand what he's saying. It's
Mm.
beautiful up there. And when you look out at those mountains, you don't want to see those white, cell phone towers and all
No,
that.
no.
And to this day, they still don't have Wi-Fi in his area.
Wow.
Yeah, he loves it. He's retired up there and he said, works for me. Life is a
Well,
slower
it's
pace,
got it's got to work. If you're retired or you want to do what you want to do, it's got to suit you. And if
Yeah.
it didn't suit him, he would know what he needed to do.
That's right. He said he worked a high management job his whole life. And he said, this is my relaxation, being in
Mm.
the mountains, being with nature. He lives on 4 acres and he sets out salt licks for the deer and everything. And he had been there maybe about 2 years. And he said, I think mom is trusting me. I said, why? He goes, now she brings her babies with her to eat. So
Oh,
he said, you sit out there like at night right before the sun goes down
yeah.
and the deer come out and everything, and you get to watch them. And, sometimes they'll put on a show and play. And he said, it's just so beautiful watching them,
Mm.
watching nature like that. And I said, there you
Yeah.
go. That's the way to relax.
And immersing yourself within it all
Yes.
is the way to see it, isn't it? And to, as you say, mum brings the kids along to show them off.
Right? That's right. He said the first summer, now he lives on top of a mountain, and he said there's only one house a little further up than him. And he said he heard his neighbor's motorcycle start up. And he said, all right, must be going somewhere. And he came down the road and he said, wait a minute, it sounds like he stopped in my driveway. He said, I walked down on my porch and he goes, what's up? And he said his friend goes like this, and he looked around the corner. There was a bear standing there next to his truck, and the bear had the hummingbird feeders in its hand. And he said, "I swear to you, that bear was looking at both of us like, can you just like go on so I can just get about my day?" You know. So, and I said, "And what did you do?" He goes, "Well, I do what everybody would do. You run in the house, you grab the camera, you run back outside, you hurry up, take a picture of it, then you run back inside." You know. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." But he said he couldn't put the humming. He said that next year he said I couldn't put him out because that bear knew, and
Yeah.
that bear would come back every year and steal all the hummingbird feeders because it's sweet feed,
Yeah.
and the bear wants it. So he said I had to stop putting out the hummingbird feeders,
Oh.
for the hummingbirds until the bear said, okay, he's not going to do it anymore. Maybe I can try it another summer.
Mm.
But he said,
Wow.
you see all kinds of nature like that. He said that's what makes it so beautiful up there in the
Yeah.
mountains.
Wow. I mean, what an experience.
I know. I said, I don't know. I told him, I said, it is beautiful up there where you are. I mean, it is really gorgeous. But the winters, no, I don't do cold weather. So I said, I'll retreat back to Florida. Thank you for my winter.
Yeah, you can keep that.
I don't do snow. I don't do ice. I was the child born in Florida. I will stay here. Thank you.
Yes.
And I'll have my hot and not so hot too. So, that's all
Mm.
our seasons are in Florida, hot and not so hot.
Yeah. Yes, I could quite happily have the winters. I prefer winter to summer. So,
I
um,
know.
yeah,
So
yeah.
does it get cold where you are in the wintertime?
Well, yeah, it can do. I mean, in years gone by, growing up, so going back to when I was 5 or 6, I remember sort of 10-foot snowdrifts at the side of the road. And it over the years now we get a smidge of snow and the whole country grinds to a halt. Oh,
Right?
health and safety, we can't move. Well, hang on a minute. I was driving in the 70s through 10-foot snowdrifts to get to work. Heck, come on.
Now there's a dusting and the school's closed and the kids can't go to school.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like,
crazy. But yes, we do. So I mean, we've had sort of -10 here. But I mean, to me, cold is, people say, "Oh God, it's cold." Well, no, actually, it's not cold. I mean, I haven't had my heating on for 4 years now. And people say,
wow.
"How do you survive in the winter?" Well, it's not winter. It's too mild. But it's cold. No, cold is -5 and up. I'm sorry, it's not cold. Put a jumper on.
If we have a normal Florida winter, you
Yeah.
put your heat on maybe a week in January. And not even really all day. It's mostly you turn it on in the morning when you get up, to get the chill out.
Yeah.
Then when the chill's out, you kind of turn it off.
Hmm.
It's not on all the time. Not like, we're the reverse where your air conditioner runs 24/7
Yes.
in Florida, especially of course, like I said, in the summertime, it's 24/7 running. But the heat, if it's a normal Florida winter, no, you don't really put your heat on that much,
Mm,
because I'm like, I don't want it on at night because you can't breathe,
no.
with the heat on. And I said, I like to go to bed with it, just chilly enough for you to burrow under all the covers,
Yes,
you know?
now that's the ideal, isn't it?
That's how you sleep. You burrow
Yeah.
under all the covers. And just, it just makes it nice for sleeping.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, you get up in the morning. If it's around 65 in our house, we'll put the heat on for a little while.
Mm.
Let it get close to 70 and then it's back off again, because I've always had allergies and stuff. And so the heat really does a job on my sinuses to where I'm like, no,
You
I
don't
don't
want to
want the
do
heat
that because
on.
you want to breathe.
I said, let's go all put on extra clothes.
Well, that's when I was brought up. I was brought up in a house and we couldn't afford to have the heating on, so we would have to put our clothes, or more clothes on, and to keep our clothes from not getting damp, we would have to put them through between our bedding. So we would have them so they weren't damp in the morning.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
what kind of heat now do you have over there? Do you have like central heat and air like we do, or gas,
Well, I
or
I have I have something called storage heaters here, so they store up the energy in the heat at night, but they're absolutely useless because if it's really cold, they run out of steam come 12 o'clock, so there's no point having them on really. So that's why I've given up. But some people have got hot air systems. Some people have got oil, so they have an
oh,
oil a central heating system, and some people have gas.
natural gas? Do you have
Yes,
natural gas over there? See,
yeah.
in Florida, it would be propane. We don't have natural
Yes,
gas
propane.
in
Yes, so
Florida.
I know people that have propane as well that don't have. They live in villages, so they don't have the
Right.
facility. So they have the propane tanks. Yeah.
In the early 80s, my husband worked for Burger King Corporation and they transferred us out to Kansas City area. And so, we got there in September and it was the
Mm,
old, it doesn't snow till January. Wonderful. Oh no, it starts snowing the next month in October. It was one of those worst winters. So we lost our power because they had a bad ice storm. So we said, well, not a problem. We got air, electric air conditioning, but gas heat because they had natural
mhm.
gas up there.
Yeah.
You have an electric thermostat. Therefore, you don't have heat. And I'm going, now who made up this rule? I'm like, what good
Yeah.
does it do for heat if you can't run it and you have gas? I mean,
Mhm.
him and I just stood there. And so we left 9 months later. He finished the job and we came back to Florida. And then neighbors were hilarious. They said it was the best winter they ever had living next door to us. And I'm like looking at her and she said, your face was just priceless most of the time. I said, things froze I never thought could freeze in a lifetime. I'm like, really? That's frozen, Or you try to put your key in the door and the latch on the car is frozen. And
Mm,
I said, no, I can't do this. And they wanted to transfer him again, but further north. And he goes, no, wrong direction. We're going back to Florida. He said, my wife and I are not cut out for this. And so we came back and we never have made it in the snow since. I'll go up north, but in the summer, not in the wintertime.
yeah. Yeah.
And but I'm like, I know I'm not cut out to live like that. I said, that's not even living, that's survival to me.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh.
But it's what you're used to growing up with.
Mm. Yes, it's true, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I grew up in Orange, and my dad had taken us to orange groves. In Florida, the oranges are really ripe in January. And so he had a friend who had thousands of acres of groves, and we were allowed to go there, and he would get to pick some oranges and all that. And I can remember running through the orange groves barefooted because it's all sand. My dad would pick an orange and cut the hole in it and hand it to me to drink the juice out of it and just right from the tree. And
Mm.
that's the way it should be instead of
Yeah.
in the store with who knows what pesticides. I said,
Yeah. Well,
there's a,
that's another story, isn't it?
it is, but it's just great right from the tree, to just pick them and be able to eat them like that. We
Mm.
tried to grow, it was a banana plant here, but we live just a little too far north in Florida for them because we do have freezes, sometimes 1 to 2 nights a
Yeah.
year, usually in January. And the banana plants can't take any because they're mostly grown down in South Florida.
Yeah, the tropics. Yeah.
Yeah. So we tried at least tried it once. Maybe we can do a banana tree, but it didn't work. I said that poor tree.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Phyllis, we sadly we've run out of time. It's been an absolute joy chatting with you,
Thank
learning a
you.
little bit more about you and what you get up to with your 5-year-old granddaughter. I just wonder what shops are on the next list to go and visit.
I know, right? I'll let you know in about a week what new stores
Oh,
we
okay.
discovered. Yeah, I'm like, holy crap. I said, my godson, I said, you do know you better have a good job when she gets to be a teenager.
Yes, you
Just
do.
saying, with her shopping skills now,
Oh
you're in
dear.
trouble when she becomes a teenager.
Yeah, I think the saying is look out.
Yes, yes, it is. This was so much fun. Thank you so much for this.
That's my pleasure. And hopefully we can do it again soon.
Yes, I like that.
Thank you so much.